Welcome back to We Mean Business, the podcast where we unpack everything you need to know about employee knowledge, communication, and compliance.
Yes.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something pretty mind-blowing.
Oh.
AI hallucinations.
Really?
You've heard of AI's potential, right?
Uh-huh.
But what happens when it starts making things up?
Oh, wow.
Especially when we're talking about hard data.
Hmm.
That's what we're here to explore.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah,
right?
and it's not some distant sci-fi scenario.
Right.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
And it has massive implications for businesses,
I bet.
especially when it comes to trusting AI with facts and figures.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a blog post from Collaboras all about this.
Okay.
And let me tell you, some of the examples are pretty alarming.
Oh, really?
They actually put ChatGPT to the test,
Wow.
using a case study about Danske Bank's Citizen Developer Program.
Interesting.
And initially, ChatGPT seemed to be a star pupil.
Okay.
It was pulling out figures directly from the article, no problem. But then they started asking about figures that weren't directly stated.
Right.
Things ChatGPT would have to calculate or infer.
I see.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
They asked ChatGPT to calculate the total hours saved by Danske Bank through this program.
Mm-hmm.
A figure that, mind you, wasn't mentioned anywhere in the original case study.
Huh.
You get this. ChatGPT confidently spits out 750,000 hours.
Wow.
Sounds impressive, right?
Yeah.
Except that number is completely made up.
What?
It's nowhere in the source material.
So it just pulled that number out of thin air?
Seems that way.
Wow.
The way it gets even weirder.
Really?
They asked ChatGPT how it got that number.
Oh, okay.
And suddenly it changes its tune to 350,000 hours.
Hold on. So not only is it making stuff up,
Right.
but it's changing its story.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty massive discrepancy.
Yeah,
And neither of those numbers was even in the original article.
exactly.
Wow, that's wild.
That's a classic example of an AI hallucination.
Huh?
It's presenting information as fact with complete confidence,
Right.
but there's no basis for it in reality.
I see.
This is why we can't just blindly trust AI with data,
Uh-huh.
especially in a business setting where accuracy is paramount.
Definitely.
But the article goes beyond just numbers.
Okay.
It talks about some pretty scary examples of AI hallucinations in other areas.
Like what? What are they first saying?
Well, think about misdiagnoses in healthcare, for example,
Oh, yeah, that's scary.
or even the spread of misinformation,
Right.
where AI is used to create content that's completely fabricated,
Mm-hmm.
but presented as fact.
Right.
This is where things start to get really concerning.
Definitely.
So let's bring this back to our listeners.
Okay.
You're probably thinking, okay, that's interesting, but why should I care?
Yeah.
How does this impact me?
Good questions.
Well, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you rely on data in your jobs?
Yeah.
Probably most of you.
Right.
Whether you're analyzing data,
Uh-huh.
writing reports, or even just researching for a presentation.
Yeah,
This potential for AI to hallucinate should be on your radar.
for sure.
Imagine relying on AI to analyze data for a crucial business decision,
Okay.
only to find out later that the data was fabricated.
Oh, wow.
The consequences could be pretty disastrous. for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just about avoiding those catastrophic errors either.
Right.
It's also about maintaining trust and credibility.
Mm-hmm.
If your team starts putting out information that turns out to be based on AI hallucinations, well, that's going to damage your reputation pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what can we do about this?
Right.
How do we protect ourselves and our businesses from these AI-generated fictions?
That's the big question.
The blog post highlights the importance of having clear AI usage policies in place.
Oh, interesting.
These policies are critical.
Oh, okay.
They act as a safeguard,
Uh-huh.
reminding everyone that AI is a tool, not a magic solution.
Oh, I see.
They need to outline the limitations of AI, emphasizing the need for human verification
Right.
and making sure everyone understands the potential risks.
Yeah.
But that's not all.
Oh.
It feels like we're talking about establishing boundaries for a really bright,
Mm-hmm.
but occasionally mischievous intern, right?
Right.
Setting clear expectations,
Mm-hmm.
double-checking their work.
Yeah.
But how do you actually ensure these AI usage policies are effective?
Well,
Just having them written down doesn't magically solve the problem, does it?
no, you're absolutely right.
Right.
It's not just about creating a policy document and calling it a day.
Yeah.
It's about implementation,
Mhm.
awareness, and making sure those policies are actually integrated into the way people work.
I'm picturing a dusty old binder on a shelf somewhere,
Yeah.
labeled AI usage policy completely ignored.
Right.
That doesn't help anyone.
Nope.
How do you make sure people actually read and, more importantly, understand these policies?
Well, technology can actually play a helpful role here. The blog post mentions a tool called DocRead for SharePoint.
Okay.
Think of it as a way to make sure those important policies don't just gather dust.
DocRead for SharePoint, what's that all about?
Well, the interesting thing about DocRead is it's not just about distributing policies.
Okay.
It actually uses this thing called smart move technology
Okay.
to target those policies to the right people within the organization based on their roles.
So instead of everyone getting this big generic AI policy,
Right.
you can make sure that the people who are actually working with AI,
Exactly.
like the data scientists,
Yes.
the analysts, they're getting the specific guidance that they need.
It's about making sure the information gets to the people who need it most.
Right. Because we can't just rely on everyone reading the company handbook cover to cover.
Exactly. It's got to be more targeted than that.
Right.
And when we're talking about something as potentially risky as AI hallucinations,
Yeah.
that targeted approach is absolutely crucial.
So making sure that the right people are getting the right information at the right time.
Precisely.
So there's accountability built in.
Exactly.
No more claiming, oh, I didn't see that policy. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Even if someone reads a policy, that doesn't mean they'll remember it when it matters.
Exactly. Which is why training and awareness programs are essential.
Okay.
We need to go beyond just having the policies.
We need to educate people on the potential pitfalls of AI.
Right.
Help them learn how to spot those hallucinations.
Yeah.
Understand the importance of human oversight.
It sounds like we need to create a culture of responsible AI usage.
Yeah.
One where everyone is empowered to ask questions, challenge the output, and not treat AI as this infallible oracle.
You hit the nail on the head.
Thanks.
We need to shift the mindset.
Right.
AI is a powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it's not a replacement for human judgment and critical thinking.
It's almost like we need to be skeptical collaborators with AI.
Yeah,
Embrace its potential, but always maintain a healthy level of scrutiny.
exactly.
Okay.
And the stakes are high.
Yeah.
It's not just about protecting businesses from costly mistakes.
Right.
It's about maintaining trust and credibility.
Uh-huh.
If we start relying on AI to generate information that turns out to be false,
Yeah.
that has a ripple effect on our reputation and relationships.
So what are the concrete steps businesses can take to create these AI usage policies?
And make sure they actually work.
Well, there are several key steps involved. The first step is understanding the landscape you need to define the scope of AI usage within your organization.
Okay, so
Which teams are using these tools? What are they using them for?
Uh-huh.
Once you have a clear picture of how AI is being utilized,
Right.
you can start identifying the potential risks
Yeah.
and tailor your policies accordingly.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
You need to create policies that are specific to your organization's needs.
Exactly.
And the ways you're actually using AI.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Next, you've got to establish clear guidelines for data verification.
Okay.
We've seen how AI can hallucinate,
Uh-huh.
especially when it comes to information that requires interpretation or calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So having a process for double-checking any data or insights generated by AI is essential.
That sounds like a perfect place to emphasize human oversight.
Right.
You can't just take the AI's word for it.
Exactly.
We need trained professionals who can look at that output with a critical eye and ensure its accuracy.
For sure.
What else should these AI usage policies address?
Bias is another huge factor.
Okay.
AI models are trained on massive amounts of data.
Right.
And if that data is biased, the AI's output will be biased as well.
Right.
This can lead to some serious issues, especially in areas like hiring, lending, or even criminal justice.
That's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
We need to be vigilant about the potential for bias
For sure.
and actively work to mitigate it.
Absolutely.
Whether it's auditing those AI models, diversifying the data they're trained on, or incorporating human review to catch those biased outputs.
Exactly. And lastly, but certainly not least,
Uh-huh.
you need to make sure these policies are clearly communicated and easily accessible to everyone.
Right.
It's not enough to just have them written down somewhere.
Yeah.
People need to know about them, understand them.
And know where to find them.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You could have the most brilliant AI usage policy in the world.
Right.
But if it's buried in some obscure folder on the company intranet,
Exactly.
it's not going to do much good.
No, it's not.
Right.
Think about training sessions,
Okay.
online resources,
Uh-huh.
or even using tools like that DocRead for SharePoint we mentioned earlier.
Right.
The key is to make those policies readily available and ensure everyone understands how to apply them.
So it's about creating a culture of responsible AI usage.
Yes.
Empowering people to understand the risks, ask the right questions, and ultimately use AI in a way that benefits the organization without exposing it to unnecessary risks.
Exactly.
It's about finding that balance between leveraging the incredible potential of AI while acknowledging its limitations and putting the right safeguards in place.
You got it.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of AI hallucinations.
It's clear that while AI has the power to transform the way we work, we can't afford to be naive about its potential pitfalls.
Absolutely.
We need to be informed, vigilant, and proactive in establishing clear guidelines and processes for responsible AI usage.
For sure.
So as we continue to integrate AI into our businesses, let's remember that human intelligence and critical thinking are still essential.
Yeah.
It's up to us to use these tools ethically and responsibly, recognizing that technology is a means to an end.
Right.
Not an end in itself.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.